It is September 9th at 7 o'clock. And we confirm a quorum. We'll call the meeting to order of the Warrant Committee. And also remind everybody that this meeting is being recorded and will be made available afterwards on the website through a YouTube recording. All right, so good evening, everyone. Hope everyone had a great summer. Couple things I want to introduce our new Warrant Committee member here, but before I do, I think it would be appropriate to make a comment about Bob. You know, he served on the committee for 7 years. And I know I sent that email around, I know, but publicly I'm gonna miss him. You know, he was my right-hand man there for a long time. And so you know, I think he's got he had a nice way about him and brought his wisdom to the committee and his insights. Zealous about a lot of topics, but you know, I think he certainly helped us navigate through some complex decisions, and I think for that, you know, I know I'm grateful. But 7 years is a long time, so he wanted to move on. He's not going anywhere. He's staying in town, and he's gonna be available for us if we want to pick his brain at any point. But we have Joe here with us tonight, and I thought I've had a chance to meet Joe and spend some time with him. Fun fact about Joe, I learned he's from Oklahoma, and he's a Sooner, and they just beat Michigan. So, but no, I'll let him. Why don't we introduce ourselves, and then he can do. Yeah, why don't you introduce yourself?
I've been on that Warrant Committee about several years, I think. And I have had 3 children go through the school system here, and I have 9 grandkids, and six of which are in Westwood, and 3 here going through this school system in Medfield. Great place to live, and this is a great committee to work with. Glad to have you aboard.
I'm Peter Michelson. I've had 2 kids go through the school system. Very happy with it. I've been on the committee, I guess, 3 years. When I saw it, I was like, wow, where did that go? But anyway, so trying to learn from Steve every way I can.
All right, why don't you?
I'm Ashley LeDuc. I've been on the committee for a year. I was in your shoes last September, and it was, you learn a lot and ask questions. I'm definitely the dumbest kid in the room most of the time, so I try to ask as many questions as I can. And we're happy to have you.
I'm Pete Saladino. This is my 3rd year on the Warrant Committee, so I've been through this now once or twice, getting the hang of things, hopefully adding more and more each time. But I have 2 kids. Maddie's 14 and Jake is 10.
I'm Emily McCabe. It's my starting my 3rd year. And I'm from Ohio, so I'm not from here either. And I have three kids. Pardon?
I wondered what was wrong, but anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, it's we're happy to have you. I have no finance background at all, so I'm always asking a lot of questions.
And Brent, you want to say a couple words? I think you know Brent, but good.
Hi, I'm Brent Nelson. I've been on the committee about 3 years, father of 3, and lived in Medfield for about 13 years now.
Brent, I neglected, you should probably acknowledge you're participating remotely.
Oh, yeah. Brent Nelson participating remotely.
Thank you. Okay, and so if you want to say a few words?
All right, sure. So my name's Joe Hunt. I've got 3 kids also. I've got a 7-year-old daughter who's in 2nd grade and twin 4.5-year-old sons. Yes.
No defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I've lived in Medfield now for 4 years. Yeah, I'm a corporate and tax transactional lawyer. I'm also an adjunct professor at BU where I teach tax on Wednesday nights. So I have a little bit of a finance tax-focused background, so really excited to join the warrant committee. And, yeah, thank you all for having me here.
Oh, yeah, we're very we're very excited that you're joining the committee. I think your background's gonna be in addition to our skill set, so.
So, as I told Steve in our last meeting, I've always been a plug-in kind of guy, so I'm happy to help wherever I can. So please just let me know where I can be.
Some of you might remember Joe, because at town meetings, he's known for asking good questions.
I don't know if they're good.
So at any rate, well, welcome. And as we said, there's no dumb question. So I'm still learning myself. So the agenda for tonight, let's go look at that. Let me just share my screen. All right. So here's our agenda. We've covered the first 2 points. We'll go through some approval of minutes, the calendar, we'll talk about that. And I thought it's always a good practice just to reflect on the last year that we went through and what people think maybe we could change or do better or continue to do. And then we'll talk about the recording I sent around, which is the school committee workshop that Bob and I attended back in June. The budget process for this fiscal year coming up, FY 2027, and a proposal to sort of add a second year to our process this year. So we would take a look, we wouldn't vote on it, but we would sort of review, do the same level of detailed review for 28 that we do for 27, to give us some insight on that. And then talk about potential topics that could become warrant articles. It's early now, but we have some indication of things that have a potential to become a warrant article. And then we'll get some committee updates, and then any informational items. So that's our agenda tonight. So this is our calendar. Tonight's more of an organizational meeting. When we meet on the 28th, we will launch right into our review of the 5-year forecast, preliminary free cash, cut. They'll have a good look at what our amount of free cash is. We'll start looking at potential uses of that and start, reserving amounts for things that we know that we typically do, and talk about other potential uses of that free cash. And then we will have a preliminary budget guidance at that point. We always have a preliminary and then we finalize it in December. So we'll have a first cut at 27. And then we'll look at and we'll also look at I believe we actually look at some of the capital items then. We might not have it by then, but if not, they'll go to November. And then we refine that forecast in November and finalize it in December with some guidance out to all the departments. The plan is to sort of meet twice each month, January, February, and March. And then we'll get a date for the warrant committee hearing. I don't know if you have that yet, but we can.
Not yet. It'll
Not
depend
yet.
on what, once we know your schedule, and it's like we're to determine their schedule.
Then, okay. So these dates, I'm waiting to hear back from the select board on, but they have a proposed calendar for January to May. And we typically like to alternate with their Tuesdays, so we'll we'll leverage that hopefully in the next week. I think they're meeting next week and they're gonna look at that, so I'll know more about the second half of this year. But if anyone has any particular problem with any of these winter dates now, let me know. Or if they have a particular Tuesday that they know they're not gonna be able to make, let me know. I'm not promising I'll be able to accommodate it, but at least I'll know about it and think about it. So that's, any questions on the calendar? Oh, yeah, on the calendar, and I've put there, the minute responsibilities. It's sort of alphabetical with one exception, Joe being new, we've recycled him to the end. And so, the rest of the order is alphabetical though. And, that brings us to,
Can I ask a question?
yeah,
I could swear a representation was made last year that we wouldn't have to do minutes anymore. It's a new,
Yep, they're being done. They're AI generated from the transcript, but you're still responsible to go through and make sure that they reflect what was actually.
Yeah.
draft.
You'll get
something.
a draft. and then go through.
yeah, I think, so a good test of that was the minutes that you have today that we're gonna vote on next. The 2 minutes from June and July. Those were done by AI. Even though it says I'm submitting them, the process was Brittany kind of did a transcript, sent it out to ChatGPT or whatever AI application she uses. It came back with a draft, and then she cleaned it up. I got it. I literally spent 10 minutes on both those minutes. I just read them. They were perfect. I mean, they were perfect. The only thing I changed was I put submitted by Steve Callahan at the end. That was it. I mean, so,
What a great country.
yeah. So hopefully that will be the process for everyone else. I don't know how much the interns played a role in drafting those minutes. That's
We
the only
had
caveat.
fantastic interns this summer.
Yeah, that's my only caveat, is that they might not be as clean as the ones I looked at. Because we don't have interns now, so.
We actually have an intern that is staying on.
Oh, okay.
She is a college intern who's gonna stay on for us, so I believe Brittany's gonna have her continue to work on them.
Oh, good.
They
Good.
should still come in that.
Oh, excellent.
Otherwise, I'll volunteer my teaching assistant.
Steve, for the calendar, I would just note school vacation week, since some of us have kids.
Yes, yes, I do stay away from that.
All right.
Yeah, that is one that I always look at, so. Okay, yeah, definitely, we won't schedule anything during school vacation. We can count on that. All right, so, I guess our next agenda item, is there any other questions on the calendar? The next agenda item, which we sort of skipped, was the minutes. We talked about the new process, but there's 2 sets of minutes that I sent around. Any comments or questions on those? There's the June 18th and the July 15th meeting. They were very short meetings.
Looked very clean.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Okay, well, if not,
Sorry, I noticed, Bob Sliney's name was misspelled in one set, I don't remember which one.
Now he's gone now.
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good catch, yep. We can fix that.
We have interns.
And I also noticed that we refer to Katie as just Miss Katie. Instead of her real last name. Okay,
Oh, yes, SINE.
yeah, that was the only other thing I saw. Okay, I would entertain a motion then to approve the June 18th 2025 minutes and the July 15th, 2025 minutes.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, let's go around and take.
I was here for the June one. I couldn't get in July. I listened to the whole thing. I saw the whole meeting. I could never get through calling in here. So I don't know whether I need to abstain from that one or not.
If you've watched it,
I did, I was,
And you-
the only thing I couldn't do was participate.
you,
I could not,
yeah, you listened to
Yeah, I
everything.
listened
So,
to that,
yeah, yeah, so you can
Yeah.
vote on, yeah, you
Okay.
can vote on. So,
yes, yay, I
A,
approve.
Peter Michelson, yes.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
abstain,
Yes.
okay, and so, Brent?
Brent Nelson, yes.
Okay, great. All right, so those minutes are approved.
Jill.
You're not here yet, okay. All right. And so the other, the next item on the agenda is to talk about the last year's warrant committee activities. And just, you know, just have an open conversation about it. Is there anything that people thought that reflecting back, maybe we could have done different, avoided, or maybe something new we can try? Anything at all that people,
So the process that we've been using for the last couple of years, I think is a very good one. There's nothing that stands out in my mind that we should change. I think it flows. I really don't have anything to add in terms of what we should change. I think the way we do it is pretty effective.
okay,
This is maybe more a reflection on town meeting, but I thought the moderator did a great job and moved it along very quickly, the way it was set up this year. And the way we wrote the articles with the recommendation and kind of were very succinct in presenting them.
Yeah.
Was awesome.
yeah, we weren't just rereading what was in a book
Yeah.
for every article.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys get any feedback from the town on that?
I didn't, but, something I guess we'd ask Mike, see if he got any feedback. I didn't get any feedback. Anyone else?
No.
Yeah. I mean, we read certain articles that we thought needed to be emphasized. Not everybody takes the time to read that book, but
That was my only thought, was like, when I used to go, I didn't read it cover to cover.
Yeah.
So I actually kind of missed when we didn't read the stuff. I
Yeah.
get like the advantage of having a faster meeting, but I was just curious if anyone like had that
that's a good,
feedback, because a lot of younger like me were there in the audience, and so like I can't imagine a lot of the parents are reading it cover to cover. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just
especially if you
curious,
don't,
but-
if you're not a town meeting person that goes every single year, you might be
Right.
new.
Yeah, like I felt like it went like too fast. That was my thought.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody.
Yeah, well,
I hate to say that,
it
but
was
like,
definitely
Wait a
fast.
couple of years, I think we're heading for.
I know, and it was a snoozer, like we don't know, but
I'm just trying to recover from people saying they don't read the book.
sorry.
I mean, it's hard. I don't, do people bring their book with them?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think, I
okay.
think we
Yeah,
have,
most people do, or
yeah.
there's extras there.
yeah, we have extras.
Yeah, so everybody has,
Everybody has one.
you know, if everybody has a book with them.
But it was like lightning speed.
Yes, I know.
mean-
Oh, I know. And I did get one comment from the gentleman who asked the question about, he was, I forget his name, but he was asking questions about
Mr. Sweeney.
Mr. Sweeney.
Oh, Tom.
Yeah, he came up afterwards and said, you know, because he didn't realize we had voted on the free cash article already. And he came up and he said, well, everything just went so quick. I didn't realize that, we had done that. So he was confused.
I think it's a trade-off between having a meeting that drags on forever and you can't get a quorum because nobody wants to come,
Yeah,
and then making it fast enough that people know that they need to read the stuff ahead of time.
yeah,
It's a balance.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. But that was my point of view.
Yeah, if you have a contentious article, people show up and people have read it and formed an opinion.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah.
and that, and
There
that,
wasn't
that
anything.
would, then you'd have the dialogue on the real controversial
Right,
articles. But we didn't have it.
right. You're right. You're right.
It was just-
That was the big cause of why it went so
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
The one thing that stuck in my head this summer as I was thinking about the year was I felt like, we had a really smooth process these last few years. We go through this like pretty meticulous process by going through budget line item by line item, talk to the people, hear their input, come up with a number, kind of come to some type of consensus, it feels like. But then it was like the last week or two, we had this letter where we talked about how things were unsustainable. And there was this paragraph in there about, the thing is, this whole thing is really not great and it's unsustainable, our path. And I kind of felt like that left me with a sour taste when I was thinking about it over the summer. I was like, we were incredibly detail oriented about line by line by line. And at the end, we're sort of like, but listen, it's really unsustainable, guys. This is not the right way to run the railroad. We're doing our best. And so I kind of was hoping that as we go into this year, we can kind of take some of that into consideration. So we somehow don't have to write that letter at the end of this year. As
Yeah.
some other type of, I don't know,
Yeah.
to the extent we can not have another letter like that by incorporating that letter into this year's planning, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's helpful, yeah. What else? Anything else? Brent, you, any suggestions?
No, I thought it was great to get out that fast.
I'm sorry, you said what? You thought it was what?
I thought it was great we got out that fast, so let's do it
Okay.
again.
Okay, great.
Me too, I like that.
Okay, all right, so the next agenda item is just a discussion. Bob and I got asked to attend the school committee's workshop. They have a workshop every summer. I think this year was in June. And it was at the high school, and we spent, I don't know, like an hour and a half with them. And I sent it around because I thought it's rare that the school committee, spends a time or a workshop or meeting on fiscal matters, or they wanted to learn about them or discuss them. And I thought it was an interesting dialogue discussion, that we should all, if you didn't see it, maybe you should, just, I don't know, what, Ed, you said you watched it.
No, I did watch it. I think it was excellent because I really think that school committee learned a lot. They learned about the levy and how that was calculated.
Yeah.
They learned, and this kind of dovetails with what you just said about the impending debt that could be coming on the books over the next few years and all these major projects and
Yeah.
the amount of money it's gonna cost. So I think it's great. I think periodically it might make sense for someone from the school committee just to attend the meetings. I know I'm pretty sure every year when we talk about schools at the budget, there's somebody here.
Yeah,
But and it was good. It was very educational for them.
yeah,
It's a good meeting.
And they asked you and Bob to attend?
yes,
Oh, okay, that's a
yes.
good sign, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's helpful. It's helpful when we all talk about these,
They
challenges
should.
together.
They get 75% of the available monies.
Yeah.
They should think it's pretty good, interesting.
Yeah,
How it's spent.
yes, exactly. How about you guys?
I watched it too. I think all those things are true. And just to go back to that last conversation about how things could improve, I don't know that I have a solution per se, but I certainly felt like last year I've watched more select board meetings than I had previously. And while I'm not committing to doing that again, because I have so little time, I feel a little bit like I'm on this like warrant committee vote and then there's this select board vote and the school committee, and I don't like, like, that has to happen, but it seems to me that, like, the feedback from that meeting, and certainly everything I understand of our financial picture, is that we need to start taking on some more debt so that we can work on all these projects. But I haven't seen that happen in the 2 years I've been here. And so I guess I just have to trust the process that it's gonna happen, but if, I don't know, like, maybe we could like all agree to go to a select board meeting, one meeting, and then at our warrant committee, we give a summary of that, or maybe we don't, but I felt like it would help me being on this committee to be more aware of what's being discussed, those other two major parts of the town, to feel like I can be more informed.
Yeah.
So an idea would, I guess, I just came over that, is that we could, like, one of us go, and maybe not, I don't know, but it
Yeah.
just seemed like, we're talking about, oh, we gotta do the FAFSA center, and then the basketball guy came, and it was really helpful to go to that meeting and see how they came to their decision, but what else is going on at all their other meetings? I don't know if you've listened to them all. I certainly.
I try to listen
like-
to all the select board meetings, and I'm like hit or miss on the school committee. I do like every other one or something, but I have the time to do that. Not everybody has the time to do that. So it's, but I do think there's something to your point of maybe getting us all together to talk about some of these challenges, how we're gonna approach them, because time goes by and they sort of just still exist and nothing happens, it's sort of like, to some people that's okay, but other people, it's probably not okay, So I don't know, would the select board be willing to do a joint meeting?
I think they're already planning.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm not sure if I'm saying the same thing as Emily or not, but when I talk to people in town, it strikes me, people don't have a sense of the number and scale of projects that are coming down the pike.
Yeah.
And the amount of debt we're likely to have to incur in coming years. And I don't pretend to know exactly how to do this, but I'd love to know how to get word out there. I was talking, good friend of mine, super smart guy, tax lawyer too. And he didn't know the FAFSA center had been condemned and we needed to do a new FAFSA center.
Yeah.
And stuff. So that was big news to him. Everybody, I think, sort of knows about Dale. That's such a catastrophe. Everybody has some sense of it. But the roofs on just about all the schools need to be replaced and the town hall. And so I don't know how we undertake to educate people about that, but I think I don't want to get to town meeting and go, oh, we didn't know about this. I'd like people to, I'd like to be able to say, well, we did this, this, and this to try to let you know about these issues. We're not going to reach everyone. I know that. I get that.
yeah.
But I see.
So there's sort of like two separate things, though, right?
But I agree with that.
I mean, it's definitely a good point, but her point is, your point is more communication to the broader town, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I think,
You were talking about the other committees.
well, because we know that nothing gets done unless these committees act on stuff. So we don't have the ability to act.
No, we're just advisory.
They do. They're executive branch. They have the ability to act and to make things or propose things and things like that. So that's why get those three committees together somehow. I don't know what the right answer is.
I agree wholeheartedly with what's being said. We've got to communicate that this year. We can't, this is the 4 or 5 year outlook. And this is what the projected tax rate will be if all of this happens according to these cost estimates. Because it is such a big number. I mean, it's overdue. And we just hit them a little bit in that area.
Well, unfortunately,
Yeah.
the two 20-year capital plans for both the water and sewer and the rest of the town, they all got done at the same time and
Right.
updated at the same time. And so they became available right towards the end of, town meeting.
Right.
And that's
So
why,
this is the year.
that's why we didn't know about it.
This is the year to communicate it.
Yeah.
The
'Cause this
sooner,
year
the
we
sooner
did.
the better, and like,
The sooner the better.
and I think what would help me is, I understand it takes me like 5 times to hear some of this stuff, but like the debt service and the town's policy of being within 10 to 12%. I guess what I don't understand totally is if our policy is to be between 10 to 12%, if we borrow that much money to get our debt service there, and that's in the policy, that's still gonna raise the taxes, but the taxes have gone down because that percentage number has been going down. And so it seems to me we have to like start a gradual
Absolutely.
increase. And
Yeah,
I don't think we should wait another year. Like,
we can't borrow $100 million at the same time, all at once, right? We
Yeah.
can't do all these projects at once. We have to have a plan to like
Right.
do it over a number of
But so
years.
maybe meeting with the select board and like saying that pretty clearly, like,
Yeah,
and the school committee, because it's, but I don't know how that. Who, like, I guess it's the school, it's, I haven't seen any of this happen yet in my time on this committee.
It's really.
Where someone is like, we need to borrow $30 million, let's go. Like, I would like to understand what that looks like and not have that happen in March.
I think it's the capital committee.
well, it's,
Really has to pull this together in
Yeah.
terms of, the scheduling and the costs, et cetera, because as we were talking a little bit before the meeting, we had 400,000 or so come off the books last year, and that helped reduce the tax rate. We've got it down to what, 2.2%. Now we have coming up this year, probably another 500,000 coming off the books, as my memory's correct. So that 500,000, if you had something teed up to go July 1st of next year, that first 500,000 of debt does nothing to the tax rate, because that's gonna offset the 500 that's falling off the books. So I think the onus is on the capital committee to very quickly work on that, something for next
Well,
year
I think
and go
I-
forward.
I think you gotta start with the select board.
Well,
The capital budget committee is gonna take their direction from the select board.
okay, right.
And I don't wanna speak for them, but I don't think I'm also speaking out of turn, that you've heard the select board say they're concerned about affordability. They're concerned about the tax rate with the upcoming elementary school. So I think there's been a reluctance over the last several years, since the vote in 2021, to have any overrides, to borrow any money, because we don't want to burden people before that school. I'm not saying I agree with that plan, but I think that has been the mentality of that.
I picked up on that last year too, and I have like major concerns about that.
yeah.
Cause it's like you're avoiding necessary things for a uncertain.
Right.
thing.
Oh, yeah,
It was 3 years ago, the
Better,
school
but
didn't. 3
4
years ago,
years.
so they
Yeah.
want to do their increase the tax rate because of new investments for the last 3 years. It'll be another 4 years before we incur any debt for Dale Street. So you're gonna have 7 years where you do
Where
nothing.
nothing was done.
That's that's
No, that's not good.
not good.
That's not good. And the only thing that's happened is our taxes have gone down
Right.
in the 7-year
We're just getting
period.
used to it. Like,
That's great, but
And,
not
and
great.
God,
No,
forbid-
I'm sorry.
and God forbid, like, the roof collapses at Blake or something.
Right, this has been my concern for a while.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess we're asking, what do we do? We go to
So,
select board.
I think the select board is already planning on having a joint meeting. They'll be sending out an invitation to invite the warrant committee and the school committee to come to a meeting and have a discussion about how we're gonna address capital going forward.
Yeah.
And I think the capital budget committee is also going to be present at that meeting to hear some of that feedback if there is an appetite to start doing some of those projects.
Brent, you've been quiet. I noticed your hand's been raised. I'm sorry. I just see you saw it now. Anything you want to say, add?
Yeah, I mean, accumulating things. I mean, I guess also I would endorse any kind of joint interaction to address the bigger problems. Secondly, I'd say, at least on my time with the capital budget committee, there is no muscle memory for doing large scale capital long-term planning. Now, people are prepared to talk about, squad cars and lawnmowers. So if there's going to be direction to tackle this problem from that committee, they're going to need to get direction from the select board. And the third thing I would just say is I just want to make sure we get the record straight. I don't know about you all, but I don't know if my taxes have actually gone down. They may have gone up less quickly than they otherwise would have been. And my tax rate may have gone down, but my tax bill has never gone down. So I just want to make sure that I'm understanding correctly what people are talking about.
Excellent point. Excellent point. Point well taken. Yes, we should, the rate of increase is
Yeah,
is
the
not.
rate of increase is-
Yeah.
It's not matching what we spend though.
Well, okay. There are some people who think that the fact that we are controlling our taxes is good.
Yeah.
Because they don't want tax bills to go up. And that it's okay to not spend and borrow money to increase taxes. There are people who think that. I'm not saying I'm one of them. I don't agree with that, but there are people who take that position. And that they think it's good that we haven't borrowed money and added or replaced,
Right.
that tax, property tax amount. So that's the conversation though that we have to have out in the open is why do you think that? And what do you say to the people who, think otherwise? You know what I mean? That's,
If there weren't projects that needed to be done, then that's one conversation about a justification, I think, why.
Yeah.
It's not going up and it's a good thing. Why? Well, we don't have any projects that need to be done, but we have a rather large backlog and a whole bunch of money that's going to behind to support it. So which would you rather do? Bite off a whole bunch all at once or bits at a time?
yeah,
But I think the problem is going to be that a lot of the folks who maybe share the opinion that, oh, it's actually a good thing, don't. They might recognize, yes, there's projects that you think need to happen, but not as important.
yeah.
Christine, you may not know, or I'm not trying to put you on the spot, that do you know if the select board envisions, in addition to inviting school committee and us in the Capitol, they're having it in a place like a high school auditorium or something big enough to invite the public to attend if they care to do so? Because I'm just thinking, great, if people want to become engaged and want to become informed, that would be awesome. I mean, you might prefer to stay home and watch Ted Lasso. But I think it would be good to start the education. I see a real value, or I hope there will be a real value in educating people about the problems coming down the pike.
There's like a list of projects that came out of last spring, right?
Yeah,
2 lists, maybe.
yeah, there's the 100 million excluding Dale and the FAF Center.
Yeah.
There's that list, and then there's the water and sewer list of
Yeah.
$40 million.
Right.
48 billion dollars. So, that.
The work is tricky though, is ultimately the town.
So when you add it up, if you add 100 million for Dale,
Yeah.
the 100 million non-Dale stuff, you're talking $250 million.
The work is tricky is the people of the town are going to vote on the budget. So, that ultimately is what the town meeting is.
Yes,
And so ultimately, I think what everyone is trying to say is there needs to be some type of consensus, there needs to be some type of communication so that the people of the town arrive at town meeting whenever that starts to be, to understand what has been proposed and otherwise, you know what I mean? Otherwise, they're gonna actually vote down at things that maybe people think are worthwhile.
Well, that's the community outreach piece, but I think what Brent was saying is that even the capital budget committee has thus far been focused on squad cars and
Not so much
this,
that.
so I'm saying that
Yeah.
as the financial advisory committee, I'm just saying from the get-go, I think we need to be a little more I get it. I understand your point about people don't want to pay more taxes. I don't want to either,
Yeah.
but we can't keep floating along and avoiding important stuff when we have critical needs.
Right,
And I would be real remiss if we went through the next 4 months and we were like, looking like we were looking last year. And I know that's a pessimistic view, but I don't want to see that happen. So that's why I'm being aggressive.
yeah.
But
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I think, the thing is that the experts that know the details of all these projects are part of the executive branch.
Right.
They report to the select board. And the people who can prioritize these things and explain why this is more important than this, and, those things, it needs to come from, the people who have the expertise. And then go through the select board to help set those priorities and communicate with the capital budget committee, because, I think Brent made an excellent point, that they're not focused on this at all.
But-
It sounds like you kind of want to light fire though, right? Like you need to get things moving and done and not just wait.
In defense of the capital budget committee, they have very limited budget for the capital stabilization fund, and they've had a limited budget for the municipal building stabilization.
Right.
And we didn't have a facilities director for almost 2 years. So everybody was ready to move projects forward without that expertise. We have a facilities director now. And I think you'll see the municipal building stabilization fund this year. When you look at those projects, each of those projects ties back to what was in that 20-year capital. It also took us a year to get the 20-year capital plan. We just finalized and got that adopted basically this summer.
Yeah.
So I think we've been on a delay, waiting for some of those key pieces to fill in. So I don't think that it's the capital budget committee doesn't want to move forward. They'd love to have more money to spend. There's more projects they'd like to do.
Yeah.
I think, we're just waiting for all of that to happen. But some of these larger roof projects, the FAST Center, some of those, I think we need to get everybody in the room and have that conversation.
Yeah,
just going back to look at the calendar, I mean, if we're going to be providing budget guidance by November, it could be the case that if we choose to do some projects without taking on debt, we have lower budget guidance than we otherwise would.
well, we've kind of separated out the two. So we have the operating budget guidance, and then we have capital items, municipal building and non-building capital things. And they're two separate budgets, right? So we only give guidance on the operating budget. We do for the non-building capital budget. We do, there's no funding mechanism for that other than free cash. So we do try to have a dialogue early about the amount of free cash that we would like to make available to that fund. Or things like squad cars and, but we don't have free cash to pay for buildings, That conversation has to be a borrowing, so.
I think a good example of that is we know in 2 years, we're looking at the 5-year capital plan now. And I know, Brent, I'm sorry, you haven't seen this yet because I'm still putting it together for our meeting on Friday. But in 2 years, we need a ladder truck. Originally, the cost estimate on those for the last 2 years, we've been carrying about $1 million. Now we're talking to the other towns who have gone out to bid on those. Now we're looking at more like 2.1.
Oh, God.
That's one ladder truck.
That's one ladder truck. It takes 3 years to get, once you do it. So even if we voted to approve that this year, we're not getting it delivered for at least 3 years. The other issue with that is the capital budget that would come out of, we're spending less than $1 million a year. So it would take me 2 years, even if I wanted to fund it and not funding anything else. So we really need to start thinking about what our mechanism is going to be for the capital stabilization fund for the future as well.
Yeah, and that ladder truck is needed once the hospital is complete. That's the reason for
And
it.
it's the hospital, and then, Rose Bay goes forward. There's some of our larger developments, Aura. It would be very helpful to have to replace the ladder truck we have.
While they're separate budgets, it would sort of be, if we roll into town meeting with sort of a 2.5% increase in operating budget, sort of the same way as we do every year, And then we're like, oh, by the way, there's like these two monster projects that are not even the school.
Yeah,
And,
but there's not gonna be an article at town meeting to talk about it.
oh, there is not.
So I don't think.
Maybe, maybe not. That's the question. It's,
Yeah, I'm thinking those monster projects, you couldn't fund those within the existing operating budget. I think those are where you're talking about debt exclusion.
Well, that's what town meeting has to vote on that.
if it was, yeah, if they wanted to put forward a debt, yeah, they could do that. and It would be talked about at town meeting. Yes, but we're, we're far from that right now. We have to agree on what they want to do first and
Right.
how much it's gonna be and, I mean. So, and when they want to do things. So that's the
Right.
problem is this plan. Leo made a good point in that video about having this plan, that goes out multiple years, that sort of looks at these things. It says, yeah, in 5 years or 8 years after we complete Dale, we have Wheelock to deal with, or, there's things like that for the roofs, there should be a rotating schedule to deal with roofs and stuff like that. So we don't go 7 or 8 years without addressing these things, because, I mean, everybody's, we can all cheer that our taxes are low and that our ranking relative to other towns is low, but we all know why. It's because we haven't borrowed money. We haven't taken out borrowing, so once we do, we'll go back up. But, okay, well, can I leave that to you to maybe just raise as a potential meeting to?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They already have it on their
Okay.
radar, so.
Okay. Anything else on the school committee workshop or budget process, before we talk about, our process, so these are just our principles that we've, always, addressed the last couple of years that are in our financial policies. It's basically, we just spent a lot of time talking about capital needs, right? And, but we always strive for sustainable budgets, right? That we know can be sustained over a period of a number of years. But we've also got to deal with other long-term liabilities. There is a meeting next week, with the Norfolk Pension Group. I'm gonna go to it with Christine and we will know more after that meeting. They're supposed to rerun their actuarial assumptions and give us some projections for the 26, for 27, yeah. And we'll hopefully have an end date of when it's fully funded. We'll know kind of where we're gonna go with that. So that will tell us a lot. So that's just this is the process. It's basically it's the same as last year overall, with one exception we'll talk about at the end. But basically, we look at how we finished up 25 to compare that to the budget. We'll get the free cash at our next meeting. We'll see where we were off in our estimates with the budget. I know right away that interest income, we will have, it'll generate some interest from some free cash in 25. Because we were anticipating a lower rate from the rate stayed elevated for most of 25. So that was good.
That'll pay for the fire truck.
And then then we'll get into we have these sort of guardrails for our stabilization funds and reserves. So we'll make sure that we're paying attention to that and make sure we're allocating the right amounts of free cash. And then look at other potential uses at a preliminary basis. Nothing will be final, but and then we'll finalize those and make some recommendations. We will, I don't know the capital budget committee is a little behind this year, right? They haven't had a meeting yet.
This Friday.
They're having one this Friday, so we may not have any recommendations coming from them yet until probably November. I'm thinking, or maybe even later. I don't know. Brent can update us on that once he goes to his meeting, I guess. And then we'll in October we're gonna, at the end of October and into November, we're gonna spend time looking at the revenue and fixed cost numbers. Okay, and looking at the assumptions behind those. We'll, at the end of that, we'll communicate a preliminary, estimate to the departments. We'll finalize it all at our December meeting, hopefully, and communicate what the I'll call it the Prop 2.5 guidelines will be, in order to, and we'll see what they come back with, hopefully there won't be too big of a difference like there was last year. So, but as we all know, we need that budget within 2.5, even if people want to go for an override, because if the override doesn't pass, you need that budget. So, then the difference will be, and maybe we talk about this, what your thoughts are. This was my proposal for this year. I thought we would take a look at 2 years. So we would add fiscal 28. And the reason is there's a lot happening in the town on the revenue side with the Trinity Hospital project. It's going to close in September.
October 26th.
October 26th, so a year from now. And they will, I'm sure start construction very soon after that. And, once they own it, it will be on the tax records for revenue, but at a lower, it'll just be land at that point, right? It'll be undeveloped land, but as they start construction and developing it, it'll take probably a couple years, but there will be a period of time where it ramps up revenue and for the town. And there are some one-time fees that we get from that. So nailing all that down, I think, and because it's been 4 or 5 years since they took a pass at that. And, cap rates have changed, and so everything needs to be refreshed and looked at. So I think, having a good 2-year we're only going to vote on 27, but having visibility into 28 on the revenue side and cost side, I think will be helpful, because it will tell us more about the trajectory of, right now, this 5-year forecast, it's just very simple escalations. They're just taking like the latest numbers and just escalating them like across the board. So there's not a lot of detailed thought put into it. Let's put it that way. That's what I want to do with 28. I want to
Focusing more on the revenue side.
And-
But you
no,
want the expense as well.
and the expenses, yeah, because we have a good number of things happening. We have the potential for
New CBA.
federal grants to go away.
Right,
Particularly like we know one of them is going to go away with the fire department.
right.
Who knows what's going to happen with the state or other federal grants. But I think we need to take our best shot at 28
No, I agree. I would say,
on the cost side,
Yeah.
and then ask the departments to come back with because we have a collective bargaining agreement too on the school side, and that's being negotiated now.
Right.
So layering all this together, the changes in the revenue and the cost side, and looking at like what's our best guess. It's gonna change, right? 28 will change. We know that. But standing here today, what's it look like? We don't know right now.
right.
There's a lot of moving parts.
I would say that it's certainly, we know that payroll is like 82%.
Yeah.
That's easy to roll forward for another year, for 2 years. You could even, if you have a a new agreement go out even further.
Yeah.
And then the expenses, I don't know, I'm thinking out loud here, you want to start with level services.
Right,
In other words, no new hires, et cetera, and you come up with a base forecast, and then below that, you put, we had the money, this is what the school system needs, this is what DPW needs, et cetera, and that's all additions. Then once we have that, then you could navigate. But to go 2 years, I think is in a pretty detailed way, is good. But I think you have to go 3, 4, and 5, even if you have to use the percentages.
oh, yeah, no, no, we're not they're not abandoning the 5-year
Yeah.
forecast.
Yeah.
I'm just asking them that as we, because one of the things I'd like to do, it makes sense to me to, when we look at 27, to have 28 right next to it.
Yeah,
I agree with that. It's not
And,
increment,
and not come back, so,
right.
you know what I mean?
So I think it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
incrementally, it's like very little more work
right,
and you get a lot of benefit out of
yeah. So, we'll know more about pensions and next week, hopefully. Health insurance is the big wild card. We'll have to take a 5-year average, which is gonna be over 10%, right?
I think, most of the health insurance companies, the joint purchasing agreements are looking at double-digit increases.
Yeah,
So we've had some preliminary meetings,
Right,
with the health
what,
insurance
18?
company. And they're gonna be high.
Now, just a question of like philosophically, with the select board, if they have a point of view that they don't want portability to be a problem in the town, that's like the select board's job to manage all of these competing interests where everything is, all the costs are going up. But if we have all, like, they have to provide some guidance on where they want to focus their efforts, or by definition, the costs are going to go up and the affordability is going to be challenged. I mean, if we all just sort of operate the way we've been operating, and then we get to town meeting with a debt override exclusion, if it passes, well, then costs are going to go up for the town. And if it doesn't pass, then we're going to be back where we don't have a bunch of capital projects approved. Like, I feel like there needs to be, you can't, there needs a little bit of
well,
leadership
if
to
it-
help sort that out.
Yeah, we don't have, on the big projects, I agree. On the operating budget, I think that, that's one of our primary responsibilities is to put forward a budget, right, on the operating side. And so we, the way I view it is like, we have to have at least one budget that goes to town meeting within the 2.5 guidelines. If there's if the pain is too difficult by departments to reach that without massive layoffs or big layoffs, then we would have to, we'd consider it another budget, right? That didn't have layoffs. And that, we'd have a dialogue around that, and we'd have an operating override vote to get there, right? And people would vote on that, would either pass or not pass. If it passes, people's taxes go up. If it doesn't pass, you have layoffs, cost cutting, in departments. That's the reality of what happened, so.
Can you explain, like, when they did the public safety building, for example, because that was the last time we borrowed a lot of money. What does that look like from a process standpoint? I mean, I'm assuming the operating budget was, I don't know if it was level or not, but like how does that work?
So every time anytime there's a
big
borrowing, and the last one, big one we did was actually the water treatment plant. But before that, you're right, it was the public safety building. But anytime there's a borrowing, it requires a 2/3 vote at town meeting. And then it has to be followed up by a majority ballot vote. So a ballot box vote,
For any borrowing,
any borrow,
and like
any borrow,
500,000,
Yeah.
20 bucks.
Any borrow.
any borrow,
Okay.
yep. It's a 2/3 vote at town meeting and a ballot box vote. A majority ballot box vote.
And that is kept separate from the levy because,
It's added to your property taxes,
right,
but it's outside of the 2.5 levy.
Because everyone voted to do it.
Yeah.
And it's called, it's a debt exclusion override. So you're only borrowing for that time limit of the project. So for example, the public safety building was 20 years and that's a declining balance.
Right, okay,
Yeah, so like the 400,000 decrease in our our debt service last year, that was I think the last year of the public safety building. So,
so I think like if I can just share my thoughts, I know not everyone is gonna share my thoughts, but if I thought, and Christine, I'm really interested in how you see this going as the administrator, like, seems to me that if we agree across committees, we want to borrow some money for some capital projects. I think that the next step would be the community outreach to like explain why we want to do that.
Your first step is the select.
Right, but didn't I say that? Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, that's your first step is there.
Yeah,
I mean, it's ideal that we get the select board on board and that they're in agreement with a plan, because otherwise we have like 2018 all over. We have like 4 budgets, 3 budgets, select board doesn't agree with the school committee, the warrant committee has a different opinion. It's like, it's chaos at town meeting. So,
yeah.
you want to try to work with these committees to make sure they understand and that they do it in public so people can't hide behind positions, that they explain their views. I think, and I think the select board, they're concerned about this.
Yes.
They have to be, So, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, so the spreadsheets that Brittany and Christine are going to provide to us this year will have that extra column for 28. And we will have, we won't get hung up on, nailing it down to the penny, right? We just want to be as accurate as we can, but not precise, because we're not going to vote on it. It's more information. But we want to give it our best shot. And we'll see I have no idea how it's going to come out, but it will inform us. One scenario could be we know 26 was tight, right? We know we had unmet needs at 26. Those unmet needs could grow more in 27. And then maybe when we get to 28, there's more. So we can see a trend there, right? That's not good.
Yeah.
And I think 28 is really key to look at because that's when we're losing the safer grant.
Yeah.
For those 4 firefighters. So
Yes.
if we're going to continue that project and keep those on, you're going to see a significant impact.
Right.
To the budget for that.
Yeah. And as of course, the collective bargaining agreement is really that's the big item that, but at least this will tell us how big, if there's going to be a hole, how big the hole will be. And maybe inform the people who are negotiating, with the teachers.
The teachers CBA expires next year.
At the end of fiscal 26, yeah. So the end of
June
26,
30.
yeah. So the 27 budget has to have an increase in it for whatever it is agreed to.
So I should start negotiating with teachers right away.
All right, is there any questions on that? I think everybody's in agreement that that's a good approach. 28, okay. All right. So that, let's see, I think the next thing, Christine, I was gonna ask you to maybe go over some warrant articles that could potentially come up this year.
Absolutely. So these are very preliminary. In fact, we start keeping those lists even before we were at the 25 town, as things are coming up. So one of the things that's come up is reducing the quorum at town meeting. The select board would like to talk about that. So they'll start to begin that discussion. We have a potential article trying to resolve between having the ambulance revolving fund and the ALS revolving fund. We haven't come to a solution on that yet. So that's a potential. The Medfield Energy Committee will be bringing the opt-in specialized energy code, building code, sorry. That will be coming from the Energy Committee. We are looking at a potential change to the town election date. And again, that would require a vote of approval at town meeting, and then it would be a ballot question as well, because it is the charter change.
So on that date right now is March 31st. And then we have a town meeting the first Monday of May. I think we're one of the few towns that does it that way.
We are.
Most
and-
towns have it the other way around. They have
Yeah,
it
you have your election after the town
after
meeting.
the
There's-
town meeting.
There's a couple of reasons that over the last 27 years really struck me as odd, is that the chair of the select board leads an agenda for the entire year before they're up for reelection. So they're setting the agenda of what is being considered, what's moving forward. And then we have an election in March, and could potentially no longer be on the board when we go to town meeting 6 weeks later. In addition, we're appointing a moderator. Now we've changed that a little bit because the moderator is now 3 years. But when it was a 1-year term, you could have a brand new moderator, like we did 2 years ago, 6 weeks before town meeting. That's a very short amount of time to get somebody ready to do a town meeting.
Or we could have a situation like we had last year with the school committee, where we
Yeah.
had people up for reelection, new committee members being elected, and nobody voted on a budget before the election.
Right.
I mean,
What about like when we do these things that, you know, how we agree on something in town meeting and then it have to be confirmed? That to me, like,
So that is
And then it's
really
like-
the main driver.
yeah.
Is that if we, for example, civil service, when we came out of civil service a few years ago, we all voted at town meeting and we had to wait an entire year because you're not allowed to do it at a special election. It has to be done at the town's annual election. So we waited almost an entire year to bring something back to people. So we had 2 campaigns of communication to try and get that out there because people had forgotten they voted on it the first time.
Yeah.
If you have your election after the town meeting, you don't have to have a special town election for any borrowing. So if we're talking about borrowing now.
Yeah.
You're having a special town election, which is gonna cost you an additional $5,000 or $6,000, which Marion would love to talk to you about.
But also it's the turnout.
It's
too,
the
like,
turnout too, so you're asking a lot of people to do an annual town meeting, an election, a special town election, it's just, I think flow is better.
What's the con to switching it?
So.
I could think of one, and that is,
Yeah,
you might be afraid, if you're a select board member or a school committee, you might be afraid to push something at town meeting, knowing that you have to be elected after town meeting.
right.
Or you might be afraid to advocate for something.
Mhm.
That's the only negative I can think of. I'm sure there's others, but
There might be others, and I don't know why it was originally set up like that, other than I think that was.
Yeah.
The main concern.
yeah. Sorry, I interrupted
No, no, no.
your list.
No, that's fine, right. There's been some discussion about increasing the fines for dog licensing enforcement. We need to create a special stabilization fund for the PFAS, legal settlements that we're involved with. We'll have an article for the Castle Hill Pump Station, which is currently a private pump station, and they have been working close to 20 years with the Water and Sewer Board to bring this forward to town meeting for the town to take over this pump station. We have an article to reappropriate the money left over from the water treatment plant that we just talked about. That'll be transferred over to the Harding Street I&I project. So that was one of the things Water and Sewer had on their capital project list that we're able to fund the first part of that through unexpended borrowing. And then we've also talked about increasing the fines for solicitor's license for people who are doing that without approval. So we did just issue our first fine last week. So, I know, shouldn't be excited about that. It's just great to finally catch somebody who's not.
I had someone come to my house,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll call you.
and I'm on the do not solicit list, but they still.
There's
can't-
not a single person right now that has a license, so anybody's knocking on your door, please call the police station immediately.
Oh.
Yes, there's nobody that has a license.
Was there anything else on that list?
That's all I have right now. That's only
That's
9.
pretty
And
good.
that's,
Yeah.
I'm not including all of our annual standard articles. This is
Yeah,
just in
yeah, yeah,
addition to all of the regular stuff.
I mean, there was discussion, I guess, towards the end of after town meeting or maybe slightly before the town meeting about the parcel B up at the state hospital and potentially, having something on the warrant in 26 for that. But I think that, well, I'll let you speak about for that. That sounds like that might not move forward or,
I'm not sure. It's on the select board meeting for next Wednesday to have a further discussion about it.
yeah. There was, opposition to it, as you all know, there were people in favor of it and then people opposed to it. And I think maybe this is my words, maybe there's some reluctance on the part of some of the select board members to move forward with it. I don't know. We'll find out next week. With that. So we might have, but the park and rec problem is still there, the short-term problem. And we might have something on and on the warrant for the 26th to deal with it. I don't know what it'll be, but they haven't come up with a new proposal for it of what they want to do to deal with their short-term problem. So we'll have to wait and see what they want to do. Is there, we talked about PFAS too, right? We talked about PFAS.
Yep, that was on the list.
Okay. Okay, that's warrant articles, potential. There's always changes. Brent. Are you there? You still with us?
I'm here.
Any update on, I know you haven't met yet, so assuming there's probably not a deep update on the capital budget committee, right?
No, I'll give you one next time.
Okay. And Pete, is there anything on the school building committee that you want to update us on?
Yeah, don't shoot the messenger. I guess I'll say that first. Nothing substantively that bad, but we put in our papers for module 1 of the MSBA process very fast. The earliest date they would accept them was April 1, and we had them in the second week of May at the latest. Because we hoped that they would approve it quickly and we could move to module 2 and hire an OPM and down the road an architect. Jeff Marsden has told us that there are 60 or so schools in the queue ahead of us. And therefore, the latest MSBA can consider our application is February of next year. But Jeff is very concerned that it will then be February of next year. Since we are sort of, I shouldn't even use the word sort of, we're in a holding pattern. We can't get a lot done now. We can't start interviewing OPMs till we know we're accepted into the project, into the program. So, but if that's the case, I mean, if we don't get into module 2 and subsequently module 3 until February of next year, the earliest we could go to town meeting on this, if you're gonna be an OPM hire and work done, it's probably sometime in calendar 2027, which drives me nuts because, get this thing moving. Everybody on the school building committee wants to get this thing moving, but we're at the mercy of the MSBA. So that's sort of the big update. I know it's not welcome news. It isn't to us, so it won't be, it would be anything else. But that's where we stand.
Okay. And did I hear you might be visiting some schools in the meantime?
Yeah, we want to take a look at some new elementary schools that have been built, so the plan right now is to go visit the new elementary school in Westwood. And after that, the new, have you been there?
Oh, yeah.
And after that, the new elementary school in Ashland.
Ashland, okay.
So yeah, I mean, I'm interested in doing that. That's interesting. Those are interesting things to do, but
Yeah,
they don't substantively move the ball forward, but yeah, good to learn it.
and the plan is to still approach the feasibility study as, ad reno or new construction at this point.
That's officially the position, I think.
Okay,
Most people on the committee lean towards new construction. In 2021, it was costed out, and it was more to do the ad reno than to do new construction. I doubt those numbers will have changed a lot. Maybe they have, things happen. But given that fiscal reality, I think it's likely to be new construction, but we're gonna wait and see what the numbers shake
yeah,
out to.
I think if I remember, I'm not sure it was more expensive. I think it was maybe slightly less than the ad reno might have been slightly less than new construction, but they were very equal, not significant differences.
I have a memory of Mike, does everybody may or may not know, I don't know. One of us, Mike Weber, who was the chair of the school building committee, had the temerity to move out of town. It was a cowardly, dastardly thing for him to do. So right now, Carolyn Casey and Bill Werner are the new co-chairs of the school building committee. That also happened because that was over the summer too. So that's where the.
And have you replaced Mike yet? Like another member from the permanent planning building committee?
No, I think I think we're waiting for the select board, you can correct
It's
me,
coming.
to appoint new members to the planning and building committee.
Okay,
And then one of those people will be designated to join the school building.
okay.
At one point, and I'm out of date on this, but at one point they were talking about maybe the FAP Center replacement is included in the building proposal. Is that still like being percolated as an option?
I'm not. The answer to that is not a definitive no, but everybody on the school building committee is already nervous as heck about the cost of Dale Street and what it's gonna be. And if you add 35 million to that, I just pulled that number right out of thin air for a new FAF center, and taxes go up therefore that much higher. But plus the state won't reimburse a penny for a new FAF center. So I understand I definitely understand the thinking of, geez, if you're going to town meeting and seeking this already huge lump of money, why don't you add another dollop on there and go for it all at once? I speak for myself and not the school building committee. I remain slightly terrified about going to town meeting on Dale Street.
One thing I would encourage you to at least maybe think a little creatively, I guess, as you go through that feasibility process. And because, one option, the park and rec, they don't have a long-term solution for their problem. They do have care, custody, and control of the FAF center. Right? And so whatever happens with that parcel, they have, some input to. And so if you were able to design or have one of your options, one of 5 or 6 options you study be a, maybe, I don't, I'm just throwing this out there, maybe a potentially slightly larger gym, like they did, in the Wheelock proposal, with a separate exit, and maybe couple offices or something. That's not a $20 million bill, that's a very small change. I mean, it's gonna be millions, but it's not gonna be 20 million, right? I don't know what it'll be, but that's a lot cheaper than a $20 million building. I don't know, they have other options they're looking at, but if it was a slightly larger gym that could be partitioned off and has had a separate exit. And then I know MSBA won't reimburse for that, but that's okay. Because they don't prohibit you from doing it as long as you pay for it. So,
Right.
but that's one of the things, depending on what happens with, we're still a long ways away from Park and Rec solving their long-term solution, coming up with a long-term solution, but at least study it. Rather than being afraid or not unwilling to maybe explore it, just sort of my advice.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. No decision will be made, but it'll be information, right?
Not soon.
Yeah.
Timeline we're working on.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
I don't know what the committee will think about that, but that would be one suggestion I might have. And because the Park and Rec might be more willing to, you may be able to design a much better building if you had access to that land right next to that.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, I think that.
And if you solve their problem, maybe they'll help you solve your problem. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think that way. That might be an easier way to. 'Cause I think it does change your options if you have access to that whole land next to it. And the other thing is we have to tear that building down. The town has to spend money to tear that building down. So, anyway, this is my thoughts. Brent, you've been quiet. Anything you want to say or add or?
No, I agree and concur. Your thoughts on what is possible out there.
Okay. All right. I don't want to keep anyone here longer than we have to, but is there anything, Brittany,
Hi.
welcome.
Thank you. Our first Citizens Academy was a success, so we're good.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
I know I'm supposed to go next week. They want to learn about how we do budgets.
Yes.
Citizens Academy, so.
Oh, I didn't know there was such a thing.
Yeah, they have a group of,
Citizens again.
tell them about the Citizens Academy.
Sure, yeah. We come up closer to wanting to join us next year. So we have a group of 7 folks this year, and we're doing kind of a local government 101 Citizens Academy. So it's gonna be 8 weeks every Tuesday from now until November 18th. And they'll learn about different aspects of local governments. So tonight was kind of an overview of what is town meeting, how does the select board work, what does the town administrator do? And then we'll go into finances next week. So learn how the budgeting process, they have a budget game. They'll have to figure out how to budget within and make a budget without certain things happening. So if something happens, the bond rating will go down, or if another thing happens, you won't get snow plowing because you won't have a truck that needs to snow plow. So we have that. And then each department is going to have a run at it. So fire will give a tour and people will be able to go in the fire trucks, and police will do a tour, DPW will do a tour. They'll learn about the human services department and Parks and Rec, and they'll learn really go into town elections and open meeting or town meeting and do all that. So 8 weeks, and then they graduate on November 18th and get a t-shirt and a pen. And they get to say that they have learned all the things about local government. So this is our first year of doing it. We're hoping to do it every year. No, this is adults.
Adults.
Adults, yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
great way to recruit volunteers.
Recruit, yeah, it's a great pipeline to recruit volunteers, but also make informed residents. And hopefully those people will come to town meeting and make informed decisions because they'll know how town meeting works and how budgeting works and all of that. So,
So you're running the program?
yeah,
Yes.
yes.
You're running.
Yeah. Yes.
Running multiple times during the year.
Yeah.
Well, she does have a full-time job.
Yes, we like to just.
I'm sorry, I understand. You should have seen the look in her face.
Every child never
Dang.
We're very excited. So hopefully they tell all the people next year. We have 7 sign up, which is great. We have 7 signed up this year. Hopefully next year we'll get more. And after that, it'll just, other towns have done it and they have waiting lists. So,
Oh, man.
it's super popular in other towns. So we're really excited. Yeah, it's cute. Yeah, our little people are gonna learn all the things. There's actually a mix. There's some retired folks. But there's actually 2 people that have younger kids in schools, so,
Moved here, yeah.
yeah, just moved here and, wanting to be involved and learn more about town government, so super fun, yeah.
Thank you for taking that initiative to do.
It's fun, we like to keep things fun, right, Christine?
We're government nerds, so we talk about it. I mean, it's like, we talk about it all day long, and we like to share the wealth of our information. So.
Well, is there anything else anybody wants to cover? How would you like your first meeting?
It was good. I was put on the spot.
Can I ask a basic year-end question?
Yeah, sure.
State aid versus what we projected and what we got.
I don't have those numbers right off the top of my head, but I think it was about a $220,000 difference. More or less. Yeah, and you can, I can send you the link. You can look at that.
It's more.
Yes, it was more. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's more.
yeah, I think it's about.
I think it was more.
220,000.
Yeah,
It's so hard to follow the media reports on it because of all the different approvals that are involved and then yeah.
We ended up taking in about 70,000 more than what was the final law recap.
Yeah.
So I don't know what person.
Yeah,
But for the budget.
200,000 over the original, but
yeah.
there's 3 different.
All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn unless there's anything else.
I move to adjourn. Second.
Second, all right, let's. Make a
Yes.
vote.
Second, oh, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
and Brent,
Brent Nelson, yes.
okay, have a good night, Brent, thanks for joining.